in round 2 of Spring. But this just looks like a KT roster that's almost in a scrim versus T1, bringing in a huge heavy hitter in Smash, and the whole team playing around Oner's Vi, as was really well explained there by our analysts, is just the kind of thing that will hit you like 9 trucks, Valdez.
Well said, well said.
But moving into this one, KT rolls to have blue side. So we'll see what they opt to ban this time around. The Varus does go over. No Sejuani here for Oner. See if the Gwen gets banned here by T1. It's like Oner shook his head no, but...
It was a very slow shake. I don't know if it was actually a no.
Yeah, no, he wasn't responding to me. He was answering something else, and the Gwen does in fact get banned.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, with the Rumble being Fearless banned as one of the only real answers to the Gwen. Could have maybe potentially played Jace, but...
Yeah. They could have waited, you know, see if the Jace ban comes out and then ban Gwen third, but you're kind of leaving yourself open if you don't ban the right thing after that. The Jace will get banned, so we're digging a little bit deeper into our top lane duels.
T1 think Naafiri is an issue? No. They'd rather stop BDD. Interesting that both mid laners who are so known for their Azir had banned against them.
Taliyah, though, left up this game.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, T1 can also draft to not go full dive. And if, you know, BDD does get Taliyah, it won't be in the end of the world at that time. But he's still a great Taliyah player.
Pretty bold to just first pick Ashe here. I mean, it says a lot about KT's faith in this new player coming to their roster in his second game of the year for it. So he played for them during Kespa Cup, but here in the LCK, it's his first time this year, and hasn't been a ton of synergy built up just yet to just lock that one in against the powerhouse, who is a pretty known quantity, I'd say, at this point with Smash. Doran will get his hands on the Ambessa. We might see a jungle pick to come through here for Oner, unless they want to try to get the bottom duo locked up right now, which it looks like is going to be the case, as Smash hovering between the Jhin, which we did see Guma have success on against Genji, and the Misfortune, which is one of the most lane-dominant champions right now and has a lot of combo potential. Alistar is Fearless banned,
yeah,
and Rel is available.
So do you play Ashe Rel, or do you just say, okay, Keria, you get to play Rel this game, and we'll have an answer for it after the next set of bans?
Renekton counter pick here again for casting. It's a pick I've watched him play in the past. I think he's got a good mastery of the champion. It is a matchup into Doran after all, where, you know, if Doran makes a mistake, you know, you might be able to even get further ahead there. But putting their faith in both casting and Paddock with this draft early on, as BDD will get his hands on the Taliyah that has been untouched otherwise in this draft, knowing that Rel is likely to come through, and they don't have an Alistar, as I don't think it's real. Yeah, no, it's not real.
Because it's like, oh, man. Not Fiddlesticks? Thought I was canyon there for a second.
So I imagine that the Rel will get locked in here because it's just so obvious, but if Faker wants a pick that he feels is going to be banned, a counter pick to the Taliyah, he might grab it, but I just don't really, nothing really stands out. I did not expect Blitzcrank, however. Nor did I expect the Victor priority to be this high, although Faker does have a ton of games of Victor played across his career, and it has been targeted against him a lot. Might just be that Faker is playing this a ton in scrims. It's a very safe pick, but the Rel just felt so obvious.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of circles, wombo combo setup, it is great.
Now, the other thing is you have to consider, as I'm sure you were kind of alluding to there, it's great for the fights, but Ashe has so many champs that can push hard and control the lane with that Rel isn't going to feel good into, like Braum, which they ban. So perhaps just trying to get counterpick for Keria so they can get out of the lane is better. Or maybe he just still ends up getting Rel later on, and it doesn't necessarily matter. But I think that KT will likely ban it. They take away the Poppy first, which is a decent pick in terms of controlling objectives. Not necessarily one that's strong into Ashe, but just as strong in general.
Yeah. You can also, I mean, we saw Keria has a lot in his pool. He doesn't have to play Rel. There are a lot of other champions. He can play Nautilus. There's so much setup. And you can't ban away all of Keria's champion pool. In fact, they're going to ban the Rel. They say we had no intention of playing the Rel. Stop mentioning
it. It almost just feels like an insult. Were you guys considering picking this away? I had no intention of setting up combos for my MF for Smash. That was never the plan.
Yeah.
And they were like, now they're probably like, damn, we were going to ban Rel. Okay, well...
You know what's really good into Rel is Taliyah. And Ashe, potentially.
I mean, I do like this Nidalee ban, considering the prio that can be set up here in lanes.
That would be support Camille.
Support Camille, indeed.
Or jungle, but that's not really a thing.
I think Pantheon ends up being a little bit safer in this situation. And he hovered it a lot last game, didn't opt into it, and instead they're just going to give Oner Nocturne with no Orianna. Pretty Oner thing to do. He loves to play this champ. He was playing it before anybody else. He was playing it when it wasn't meta. And it's great for controlling team fights. And when you turn the lights off, it becomes really difficult to get on backline targets, as the Renekton, for example, to set up the chain CC potential that BDD is looking to do with this Taliyah. So a lot of disruption. And we'll see our second Viego of the day here. Has a strong synergy with Taliyah. Final pick here, just going to be a Leona?
The Cuzlassic.
Yeah, a Cuzlassic for sure.
Yeah.
A classic with two Z's.
Yeah. Oh, not the Elise, please.
Not
the blind
this
Elise.
This is really greedy.
Not today.
Really risky. What's Keria cooking? Is he cooking at all? Is he just going to play Bard of Nautilus? Or Rakan into Leona. Man, Keria is actually just feeling himself today, isn't he?
Yeah.
He really is just...
I don't mind the Pantheon either.
I think the Bard feels the best for this comp next to the Pantheon. Like, the Pantheon is so basic, it's so obvious, it's so easy. It sets everything up for you.
Yeah.
But this comp from T1, regardless of what he picks, he's going to play Rakan into Leona.
Sure.
Into Leona Ashe. I feel like the comp for KT Rolster is a strong meta comp, you know? And they even got the Leona into the Rakan. It's BDD's Taliyah. It's a tried and true. We got the Renekton counter pick for the Ambessa. It almost feels like KT got a red side comp where they have all the answers. On T1, you have kind of this mishmash of champs that doesn't necessarily synergize perfectly, but you have backline access with the Ambessa, with the Nocturne, and you have tons of damage with this Victor that's going to scale up later on. You don't have the greatest setup necessarily for the Misfortune ult, but you know she can be quite lane dominant anyways and take over the game. So there are tools here for T1, but if I took nameplates off, I'd definitely vote KT here in terms of draft, but with the performance we saw from them in Game 1, I'm not ready to say that draft advantages alone are going to be enough to bring this to 3.
Adding in the 14-0 and 5 score line that we saw from Smash in Game 1, congratulating him on his debut, which is funny because we've seen a lot of Smash already, but that wasn't a debut in the LCK, which this one technically is. We'll see how his MF looks up against the Ashe and the Leona. At least the Leona will be very good into the MF ult, but certainly a lot of threats for that Ashe. The Rakan, the Nocturne, and the Ambessa all teaming up with some long-range ultimates to follow up. It's going to be big. Let's jump into game number 2.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지
All right,
40초
game number 1. Not sure what happened to the mini-map. Yeah, okay, there you go. Yep. Press the mini-map button.
That was
Nicely
the mini-map toggle. He clicked it, and it came back.
Good job, Mr. Strong.
There you go. You said game number 1, by the way, which, to be fair, yeah, to be fair,
that's weird.
It feels like it is the beginning of the series, right? After what happened in game 1 wasn't real and wasn't a game, as the Spacers put it.
Maybe I was thinking about game 1 because I saw the Smash scoreline.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I think all KT fans are trying not to think about game 1 right now.
Yeah.
Trying to think about game 2, trying to think about this pretty well-crafted draft that has a lot of single target CC, and blow-up potential. If, Leona hits a Solar Flare, Zenith Blade, there's a Taliyah flip back, and then that target dies, and then Viego takes over. You could front-to-back team fights that way through the extra damage that Viego's going to put off as you kind of chain your way through. He feels like a comp that has a great identity as Peter goes in, level 1.
Yeah. Gonna get the heal out of Keria already. Peter does take a bunch of damage, but that's fine, just level 1. Smash was trying to aggressively trade, as was Keria, into their opponents. And now it just feels like KT have the push on this wave, so probably gonna hit level 2 here first.
Big follow-up potential with this Rakan and team fights to the setup with the Ambessa and the Nocturne. It's very difficult to outplay a flanking Rakan when you can't see. So let's see what Keria can get done later on. Obviously in the lane here, level 2 disadvantage, and playing into the Leona, which is a pretty common counter to the Rakan. And have some challenges to face to overcome in the laning phase. And this means the pick of the Rakan kind of hurts some of the early laning power of the MF that you would normally otherwise want in a lot of matchups. Ashe is also just very strong in lane and very annoying to deal with all sorts of different supports. As this counter pick of the Renekton is showcasing some of its power in the top lane as well. Like I said in the draft, it feels like KT got a lot of answers in this composition, even though they're on blue side, as Keria is giggling. Smash is like, hold on, like, can you just let me kill these minions before you do anything crazy? Keria's laughing. Yeah,
the thing about the Rakan is that he has this ability, Gleaming Quill, where if you just hit it, you're just full health, it feels like, right? Great peel potential if Peter is the one that starts off the fight, which we do see there. As now, making it rain on top of this bottom lane. Keria does take a bunch of damage, but Smash very healthy. And already, it feels like Smash and Keria are getting ahead on this 2v2.
Okay, hold up.
Oh, the flash on in, but Peter in a bit of trouble. He will go down. Pretty straightforward. There goes Podak as well. Those throw in the barrier, but it's not quite enough. And that is a couple of kills going the way of T1.
And I was going to mention it right before that second exchange. I was like, maybe they really feel like with the barrier advantage over Cleanse, they have enough. Once Ashe starts to stack up the Q and do some serious damage, but they simply did not, Valdez. And the health advantage, because of the Gleaming Quill before the first exchange, was why, as you were literally explaining, why it's so hard to actually do anything after that, because you're just at a health deficit, because you don't have the same sustain. You don't have a heal in your lane. Keria used his to help keep them healthy.
Yeah.
As over here, maybe a solo kill? No.
Doran's going in. He's got Keria nearby. And Keria here on the swap. Thinking about going in. There he goes, but Smash a little bit behind. So just going to heal up a little bit of the minion damage.
Yeah, Casting has TP, but Podak is still in the bottom lane. Not entirely sure how they're going to play this now. He needs to clear this wave as fast as possible if they're going to swap the Renekton back. But there's some extra time now where Casting is healing up, grabs a longsword, and just head eventually to the bottom lane. Was heading mid for a moment. Looks like some indecision potentially on the call as to where he's going to go. As going back to this, they're at full health. So trying to aggressively go in here is quite challenging to win a trade on.
Yeah, that's the first mistake.
And then after that, Podak does a lot of damage to Keria, but again, it's not enough to actually have kill pressure. Keria steps back, and he has barrier, but that's not enough to win you this fight. That's just a small shield.
Here's mistake number 2.
By the way, Faker in live in trouble.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
Mistake number 2.
I mean, he has just no health, and Podak can't get it done with barrier alone. That was the thought process, but it just was incorrect.
There's not a lot said between the two.
No, I mean,
it's pretty straightforward, I think, for Smash and Keria.
I think Keria just walked into today's series being like, it's going to be the freest 2v2 of my life, you know? Just based on some of the decisions he's made this series, the constant laughs, when, for example, they didn't ban the Galio, and then he just played Gragas, and
it's like Happy Gaming the way it was meant to be played.
Yes.
Outside, you're not actually inting while Happy Gaming. You're just winning while Happy Gaming. You're laughing a bunch. You're having a great time. You're the much favored duo and team. You're happy.
It's also, as much as I feel like obviously KT Rolster as a team outside of that Rogue 2023 year, which I still think about constantly, has not really been close to T1. There's still a rivalry to be had here, right? I think Keria is enjoying the absolute bopping he's getting over KT this time. Remember, there was that home ground match that did not go as well for T1 as they were hoping for it to. You know, that's like the T1 event. And so now he gets to have a little bit of revenge over KT Rolster, as KT are just 4-manning topside here and taking away all of these plates. Like, this is quite a bizarre move here. It's very expensive. Let's see if they can turn it into something more, because I think plates alone isn't going to be worth.
I mean, they really want to take down Doran before anything happens. Doran is going to have to flash if he wants to get away. He's still not going to get away, though. That's already a kill going the way of KT. And now T1 trying to force this fight. Maybe a little bit of happy gaming does come in after I mention it. KT, nice setup here. All 5 members in the top lane. And they do punish T1 for trying to make something of it.
Cuz looking for more.
Well,
gotta heal. And I mean, they could potentially redive this, but those are 3 half-health ranged minions, so. Smash is also trying to race against this turret down here. Bottom side was doing a lot of damage and picked up a lot of plate gold solo. So you can see he's actually 850 gold ahead, even though, you know, KT are really putting the pressure on here. A lot of split experience, obviously, and the plates being split among so many members means it's not necessarily valuable gold. That's why I said they really need to get something more, and they do end up grabbing Doran here, and T1 commit to the fight, which ends up backfiring in a big way. Like, Oner goes into the back line, but alone doesn't quite have the damage. Faker can't join him, so he doesn't have enough damage to kill the Renekton, and he has to just kind of walk away. So, sad moment there. I like the style at which KT were like, okay, we have to force something here. They heavily commit, and then they double and triple down on it, because if they don't get anything more than just those plates, I really feel like Smash is like, well, thank you very much. He still is individually, but at least they were able to turn that into something more topside, because as you can see here, he's 10 CS up, got all that plate gold, all of that XP. He's like half a level ahead of Paddock right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not hyper carry territory with the MF, champion-wise, but you're still happy to give a lot of farm over to Smash. He's casting now in a bit of trouble here. He's going to get charmed and knocked up. Smash does not have his ult. He used it on the wave. Will they regret that decision? No is the answer. Very nicely juggled there. Everybody takes a bunch of damage, but it's still a kill, and it's handed over, importantly, to the one guy we want to give gold, who is Smash.
Yeah, he's the one who was able to pick up the last hit there on poor old casting. And down he goes. As over here, this top turret's a race for first brick. I think KT got it, and they will. So it's another feat of strength. Well, the first, of course, for them, as Feats of Warfare did go to T1. So still a race there. And, okay. Wow.
Nice little combo. I mean, Tilly at this point doesn't have too much damage. Faker has even less with his mana crystal. Keria might be in a bit of trouble here. He is Rakondo with
casting, no flash either to follow up on that, unfortunately.
Thought it would last longer, but
I was thinking about the crystal arrow though when Faker was caught there in mid. It would have been a pretty nice angle actually. Had Product had the wherewithal, maybe he could have tried to catch Faker there and turn that into a BDD play in the mid lane. Perhaps BDD was calling for it, and then he was like, well, I'll use it somewhere else. And it didn't quite work out, but yeah, I think that might have been the better choice. But again, never a guarantee.
Smash already has BT, so he's just going to go mid. 10 minutes into the game.
BT on Misfortune means that even when you get hit by a volley, you still got a shield and going to assert your dominance in mid lane.
Okay, well,
here we go. This is an angle.
Yeah, they're trying to force here on an Oner who is just going to try to flash away, but it's very difficult to get away from this comp. The follow-up is huge, and KT prove it once again as BDD got over and picks up the kill. So should be a bunch of grubs once again going over to KT.
Yeah, Faker is in the bottom lane, had teleport, but really tough to react to a play like that. And in Oner's defense, he has Spell Shield. So in his mind, he feels pretty safe in this scenario, but unfortunately that's only going to shield one CC, one spell, and the follow-up was there from KT, multiple forms of CC to lock him down and take him out. So another great proactive play here from KT. down on gold, but have found some big successes, some big wins here. BDD, once again, 600 gold up, but this time he's got a friend in Cuz, which is the only other player who's usually had a little bit of a gold lead when we look at some of these KT games this year. But very good in terms of, you know, what it means for KT. 6 grubs for a side laning Renekton, potentially, and anyone who gets their hands on a turret. I mean, the whole team will take that mid turret out very fast when they get control later on, if they get control later on. The second dragon would give a 2 Drake lead to T1 if they take it. They are getting grouped up right now. Oner does not have his paranoia nor his flash. Oh, T1 kind of have pseudo control, but aren't necessarily looking to grab this just yet. And KT is going to wrestle some of that prio away.
And they're going to ult in on a Paddock as Smash just has to use his cleanse. Might have to flash out of this one with BDD making his way over. And there it is, allows Keria to follow up. As yeah, they were really trying to play around Smash's priority, but as a team, KT, it feels like, are more well-rounded and they have more members there. Oner is just going to start up the Drake, though?
Yeah.
And KT are not going to even look at it.
Yeah, KT, they got a small win there, but Faker's still just chilling in the bottom lane, and they weren't able to collapse on or take out that dragon, as you say. Be happy getting both of Smash's summoners on this immobile misfortune, but I think wanted a bigger prize, as this is going to be another Ocean Soul. But T1 with the 2 Drake lead, feeling very happy with how that exchange went, assuming there's no punish on the Smash again. And, you know, it's a bit of a slower game here, but because a little trickery.
Yeah.
Bit of a slower game here, but it's going to come down to, I mean, the game is not won or lost here with these comps, and with the lead that T1 has, it's as small as it is. It's going to come down to some of these later team fights. And I do think that KT's best way to win this game is making plays like what they've done so far, where they just lock down a single target and pile on them, and then Cuz does some of the heavy lifting while, you know, the Ashe just continues to layer the damage in. Same with BDD.
Yeah. I mean, that should be the way they play out this composition, and I think they've done a great job of putting themselves into a spot where they can actually play against T1. Game 1 wasn't real, as we've mentioned many times. That draft gap was gigantic, and the play gap was also huge. The decision-making from KT wasn't great. They've calmed down a bit here. They're only taking fights that they know they can win. They haven't gone for any unnecessary objectives just yet, and we'll see what happens when that Rift Herald does spawn. But still, I think KT, even, you know, if they get a pick before the Rift Herald, then you've got an angle to actually go for those objectives. So I don't mind their spot right now. So far, we haven't seen a lot of value from, you know, individual parts of T1's comp. We haven't seen the Nocturne get much done here. Oner just getting killed the one time, just kind of farming.
I mean, it's like what I said in draft. Frankly, this draft doesn't have a ton of known synergy. Like, this is not a comp, unlike KT's, that's super basic in what it does. Like, it doesn't have, it's not a bad draft.
You're gonna say super based.
It is, I mean, honestly, picking Rakan into Leona, that was pretty based from the area. It was pretty based. And laughing while you do it, and then laughing when the Leona goes in and you win the 2v2 anyways.
Yeah.
Pretty base. But yeah, otherwise, in terms of how this comp works in 5v5 fights, it's very tricky, and it's also not simple, because while there's a lot of power in each individual part, they all have to work together well. Whereas for KT, hit CC again, champion die, vehicle transform. That's it. I mean,
Thanks
that's
for spelling it out for me, Wolf. You know, I wasn't 100% sure.
No, I mean, I knew you knew, and I know T1 knows. But I think I might have to do a longer caveman speech for the T1 comp. Maybe Chronicle have that one prepared on the space with some non-conjugated verbs. It's a bit of a lull state here. 2,000 gold, though, generated by T1. Faker spent so much time in sides, even though it was significantly further behind earlier on. Now that deficit's only 150 here between him and BDD. Has a 10 CS advantage. And again, we're just waiting for team fights. And for T1, you have to be very careful about how you approach something like this Herald fight without vision. There's a control ward in the pit. They have scuttle control. And if you just walk in one by one, then the explanation I just gave will happen in real time.
Yeah.
And I think T1 just know this is not a winnable fight without Prio, without vision. They just let it go. I think a wise choice.
Yeah, no real reason to force it. I mean, they know they're not ahead enough to get in there without vision advantage, without vision control at all, really. I mean, they had some wards around, but... And now they're getting control as their team moves in to clear out vision. But... yeah, at that time, they weren't exactly set up. They have the first couple of Drakes. Unfortunately, they did roll the Ocean Soul, which isn't the best, especially for their comp, which doesn't have a lot of tankiness, not have a lot of high health bars even. So,
I mean, it's okay for Ambessa, you know?
I mean, it's not bad, but definitely would have loved to double roll Hex Tech. That would have been nice.
BDD BDD does not have the Andres, but he still hurts good old Doran. And the game slows down once more as T1 weren't going to opt into a bad fight. BDD can't kill Doran. It's a bit quiet, but T1 have Prio. They have 3 wards to the left of the Dragon Pit, 1 in the Tri-Brush beneath, and then 2 in the entry points for Cuz to potentially get in, try to look for a steal. He's got Flash and Heartbreaker. So, kind of covering all their angles, as that's an unfortunate miss for Peter.
Yeah, Cuz is right there. He's decently fed. 1,000 gold ahead of Oner right now.
Both top laners have teleport.
Peter's gonna go in. Oner just gonna flash away.
Yeah, scared of that follow-up from BDD.
Yeah. Little arrow into Faker, but he doesn't seem to carry. He's got that big stun field right in the choke. KT do have control of the mid lane, and they have the Rift Herald, so T1 have to move over and stop this push.
That might be enough to secure them Dragons. They want to heavily commit to something after this Herald Crash instead. T1 playing so respectfully, backing up though. Faker may get caught.
He's just stuck here in the bush. He's going to have to flash, and not even the disengage cone is going to help him as BDD sits him down.
What a shove. Absolutely insane predict from BDD.
Yeah.
Or just a complete coincidence, but I'm going to say insane predict.
It was planned. And now, TP coming in. T1 want to fight this. They want to fight on their terms. They're going to press their buttons in the aggressive direction, this time for the first time in this game. And now they do shut down BDD, who did have Flash. That ult was not great from Smash. Is now going to get into that backline. The follow-up is there. Smash in a lot of trouble. And they are able to get the shutdown onto the AD carry of T1. That's a double kill as well. And KT beginning to gain some momentum in this game.
Doran here playing with fire. Don't know if he really wants to go in there as Keria is trying to... I don't know what that was. I don't know what he was doing over there, but I don't know if it would have gone well for him. Maybe just trying to escape there. It looked like he was trying to do something with casting, but I think he was just trying to speed his way out of there. And going back to this moment here, Faker hyper-aggressive on this flank. I mean, extremely greedy, and the follow-up from BDD is instant. He places the shove behind Faker so that Faker cannot actually get out. And then this moment here for T1, I think I can get behind. You know, you have a single target you want to get. Look at the angle for Doran as well. It's a great follow-up. Unfortunately, though, after all their tools are used, and there's still a real threat in this Ashe and a ton of frontline, plus a big fed Viego, even Keria's heroic attempt to try to stop them and peel is not going to be enough. And remember, the Misfortune ultimate as well from Smash, not great there. And once gone, is just a Misfortune without ult. And I mean, it was a cool idea to try to look for that play, and I think they had the right tools, and like Doran was clearly prepared for the angle, but I think just misassessing like the ways in which KT win that fight with an Ashe that just can't be accessed, you know? So now it's an even game in terms of gold, and KT are on the board with a Dragon. Yeah. And we still know what their comp does.
It's really straightforward for them. You know, we do like the straightforwardness in the compositions. Not as straightforward, I guess, as T1's Game 1 comp, but still
pretty close, though.
I mean, you did a caveman style, right? And that's all you needed to explain what this comp does. Meanwhile, on the side of T1, yeah, Smash got really fed, but he's MF. He's not a hyper carry. He is going to do a lot of damage, but he's not necessarily going to take over the game in the way like a Kai'Sa or a Zeri or even an Ezreal would. I think you really need Faker to be dealing a lot of magic damage in some of these fights. But right now, he's 0-2. He's behind on gold to BDD again. And he's not quite... He got caught out in the last fight as well.
Yeah.
So Smash isn't going to be able to do it alone on MF. If he was playing Zeri, sure, but he needs Faker to also do damage.
I feel like this is not a Smash type champion because, you know, you and I were joking about it in the break as Teddy played Misfortune. Misfortune is kind of like your team does all the work and you press the button.
Yeah.
It's not a skill expression champion. It wasn't designed to be one. We've talked about this a lot, whereas Smash is kind of the skill expression player from what we've seen from him so far. I mean, go back and watch that Kaisa game if you don't believe me. But yeah, again, him having all the gold means his team needs to hold KT in place for him to swing. So it would be nice if they had like a Rel in this comp. They did ban it. I think KT would have banned it if they left it open. But
yeah, I mean,
it still feels like, you know, when you look at this comp, there's just not a whole lot of setup for the Misfortune. It's great into dive. You know, when you're like able to cone all the champions are running at you if the Misfortune isn't caught, but this isn't necessarily dive from KT, it's just single target blow up with an arrow, you know, with a flip back from BDD. So, you know, Misfortune isn't going to be channeling towards, you know, saving anybody, maybe like a Viego that's running down to get that kill, but it's very tricky to pilot, and I think, you know, we said take the nameplates off, or I said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I said, like, take nameplates off. I think KT had the better draft.
No, I do agree.
I think T1 is feeling some of that right now.
I think you have to. You know, the Nocturne hasn't really achieved what you wanted it to achieve. You know, I think what they did on that Dragon, where they pressed all their buttons into BDD, that was like the best fight that T1 have had. And that was good, but the follow-up was honestly not. I mean, they couldn't really run away or anything, but they thought they could take the fight, and they got bullied by casting instead. They need to do more of that, but the farther they fall behind, the further and further they fall behind, the less of those fights we're going to see from T1.
Yeah. And it's still T1, an incredible team that has looked way better than KT throughout this year and brought Gen.G to the brink in that best-of-3 banger that we had on Sunday. So if there's a team that can get it done, the compositional deficit with the creative draft, I guess you could say here. Like
that's one way to put it.
Yeah. It could be them, but Keria will have to dash away.
We saw Smash Cleanse. Not sure exactly why, but the disengage cone is going to help them out. I don't think he was slowed up by anything, but they did both dodge the arrow, so no big issue there.
BDD tried to go for another shove angle there, but found himself also flying with the blast cone. And now KT full prio on this Dragon. Doran has an off angle here. There is a teleport flank ward potentially for him to take as well if you wanted to do a deep flank. It's actually, in fact, going to be Faker who goes that route, though. Don't know about that.
Well, they're going to turn off the lights to get into that back line, and one stun on the Smash is enough. He's totally zoned by a Renekton, and he has to flash away. But look at the damage right now from the Nocturne. At least they get the Ashe. As now Smash tries to get in, but he just dies. As he was isolated the entire fight, they don't have an AD carry. Cuz is going to get blown up by Faker, and they still have this Mbessa as well. T1 trying to fight this one out. It's a very close one. Faker still full health against 3 low health bars, but he doesn't have a front line anymore. Trying to pull a Chovy here. We'll see if he can do it.
The same thing.
But
you saw Chovy do it with no health, but
yeah,
Baker's
just run away.
Yeah, he's not going to have the same opportunity this time around. And man, I mean, the flanking Victor isn't always the scariest of flank champions.
They didn't see him at least.
Also, watch in this fight, interestingly, because they couldn't see him. The lights are turned out. Smash here is on the wrong side of this fight. You pointed it out. He gets stunned, flashes over the wall. Now there's no stun, so he's like, okay, I can channel. I get something done here. But Cuz is, you know, he doesn't care. Like, he's like in stasis. He's not going to take any damage there. So your AD carry did basically nothing, kept casting at bay. But Faker isn't able to, without really any frontline here, really carry the last parts of this fight. And Victor's not a champion that can do much on a flank in terms of engage. Could have, like, closed the door there and collapsed on them if KT were kind of messing up in terms of positioning. But you know, at least he Smash channeled his ult. He was able to identify, okay, the stun from the Renekton is down. I have an angle here to just full channel until he physically kills me. But it just wasn't onto any targets, as Cuz was the only one who was arguably going to be hit, but wasn't hit, obviously not really. So that was just a really good play from Casting, who's at 4-0 or 4-1-2, excuse me, on this Renekton. looking really good in this game compared to the last.
Yeah, he got very much bullied the last game. That wasn't a very fair one for him. But yeah, the MF doesn't do anything if he doesn't have if she doesn't have protection, if she's on the wrong side of the fight. And it was a very wonky engage because of all the flanking, and Smash kind of got left out to dry as both Faker and Doran were flanking. The one thing I will say is it was nice to see that T1 actually do have other threats outside of Faker as well. You know, I feel like Doran and Oner really pulled their weight in that fight.
Absolutely.
And were able to do a nice chunk of damage to really shore up the missing MF. So it's not all up to Faker.
No, and Faker is sitting on 2 items. Will, you know, do a lot of burn with this, and in longer fights too, the Blackfire Torch is so incredibly strong as you just get more and more value out of it as the fight extends, and that's what Victor wants to do, is be that AP carry.
Well, trying to punish Peter here. That's a lot into the Leona, but nobody is there just yet. You see the follow-up is coming through, though. BDD makes his way over. Cuz there as well. The charm comes in from Keria, but no follow-up is there on a BDD. Finally, Faker will put an end to Cuz, who unfortunately got caught in the crossfire. And now T1, nice little pick. And oh, very nice max range from Doran. Gonna catch out the Talia and get the job done as T1 beginning to show what their pick comp can do as the stun comes in from Faker. Excellent position. And that is 3 kills as KT fall 1 by 1.
This is what T1 can do if you just get one angle, one moment. They can snowball that turn of events into a massive win. 3 dead on the floor here for KT. Casting absent from that fight is going to get a turret for his troubles, but T1 gets so much more. They're going to get a Baron off of this as well, easily.
Otacon? Nah.
That's a bridge too far, I suppose, but going back to this, it's all down to Peter channeling a recall here, gets found by Keria, and T1 jump on the opportunity. He then goes in. Imagine if BD was just a little bit closer and could have hit a massive shove there. Things could look very, very different. And Keria finally sets up Smash to channel an ultimate on a target. He is able to take out Cuz this time around with some help from Faker, and then they crush this turret.
Look at Doran's ult. Yeah, look at this.
Doran's ult. Ooh. It almost looked like he just like grabbed one extra like hair too long. Like it's almost like he was actually cheating. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But casting never shows up after the fight is lost, and doesn't show up in the middle of that fight because he just doesn't trust that KT could actually turn that one around. I think it's a wise choice. He gets the turret in exchange, but without him being there, you know, it allows T1 to try to push that advantage even further, almost taking out that inner. KT still can win this game as Smash is the target.
He's got Cleanse, but he doesn't have a splash. They're really trying desperately to take him down, and now he gets the huge ultimate onto so many that were desperately trying to dive into him, and there is the value from the MF. And the follow-up is swift from T1. KT overextend, and it's just going to be a clean, straight-up ace 29 minutes into the game as they will look to potentially end.
The words that came out of my mouth right before that happened was KT can still win this game. They can no longer win this game now, because I was going to say they still have that single target blow up. They can still find targets. They can still... Smash says strut. The walking strategy.
He just walked up. He just used the wall to zone KT away from it.
Yeah. That's it. That's GG.
Yep.
And what was a very close second game at KT, played well, just comes to a crashing end.
Yeah, the crash down from the realm we did not see. And yeah, the Nexus will fall here. T1 will just have their fun. Doran gets killed right at the end, but it doesn't matter.